with what you learned from the white bowl. It can be one or two or three sentences. Just let me know as a teacher how that went for you with the white bowl. And I'll start with Linda.
The white bowl was a big challenge for
Oh,
Linda.
Linda, I think you're can't hear you.
Oh, I'm not muted.
I can hear you
No,
okay.
I can hear
Okay.
Linda. Yeah.
Something happened. I can't hear anybody.
Can you hear me now?
Something's happened with mine.
We can hear you okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Oh, good. Okay.
I said that the white bowl was a big challenge for me. And I think maybe because I kept my colors really dark when I started, that I had a harder time layering lighter colors. And also the fact that I was using that awful white, that fast drying white, when I did go back to it, and it was only a few days later, it was all dry and tacky, and I couldn't blend those hard lines together. And so then I found myself redoing kind of the painting, and I lost the nice layers that I was creating, for stage 2. But all in all, I mean, I thought it was a really good, challenging exercise. And yeah, looking forward to this class too.
Great. Thanks, Linda. Darlene.
Yeah. It just really it kind of opened up another world of all the values that are underneath, and then start to dull in that, but don't lose those values to create the shadows. And it just really kind of brought that back to me again as to how to try to do that. And I didn't like a lot of how much white I was using because I felt it was really dulling it a lot. So sometimes I went back in with just a bit of a wash of the bottom color and kind of brought it out a tiny bit more. Then I might have had to go back in and lighten again. But yeah, it's starting to make a little more sense in how the colors relate to one another. And trying to get that transition between without losing both of the shapes, right? So yeah, it's great exercise. Yeah.
And I also think, Darlene, that it's probably that white bowl would be much harder in acrylic than it would be in oil.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
But,
because we don't use the layers like Jen's going to show us today, I think probably using transparent layers and things like that would help. But how I've been taught is this is it. It's super simple. You just go in, you layer it. There's no mediums. It's just super, super simple. And it's served me really well for 20 plus years, doing it this way without mediums, any medium at all. But yeah, we'll see, thank you, Jen. We will visit that and see if that helps you, Darlene, with your layers.
yeah, I have used a lot different times with the mediums, but I'm a little bit impatient when it comes to that and don't want to let that bottom layer dry. And then of course I put another, if I use the mediums, bring another color in, and then you're going to get a little bit of mud going on. So patience is something that I'm not great at. So I want to do it all at once.
And we're supposed to get better as we age gracefully, right?
Patience is, yeah, it's something that it's a short supply as we get older.
I kind of think you're right. Thank you, Darlene. Barb.
I did find that
yeah, to go back and fiddle around with the bowl later to blend was hard. And I mean, you said it's harder in acrylic, and I would have to agree. I don't have anything to compare it to because I haven't done oil, but I tell you, every time I was like, I'm just got a little bit here, I'm like, oh, I changed the whole thing. So, and it was a bigger, you know, then I had to paint more, and I'm like, I feel like I'm repainting this whole picture. But having said that, the positive thing is I really have discovered in my style that I must be a real impressionist painter because I liked the bright colors, and like who thought that white bowl would be such a brilliant array of different colors. And I think I kind of left it at that. I could have worked it to be more maybe realistic or blending it, but I kind of liked it all kind of fractured with the different colors. And yeah, I liked being able to play around with the background with different brush strokes and stuff like that. So that for me was fun to do that kind of thing. And because I'm still discovering who I am as a painting style or what I like to do. And so that actually, like, I confess I was not a fan of the block, the first one, but I had fun with the bowl. So I really and the practical part of me was like, I cannot switch to oils until I have a home for my acrylics, and I think my daughter's going to take my acrylics, so I'll move on to oils.
Yay. Thank you, Barb. And I think part of your personality, as I do know you as a friend, is probably the brighter colors, and you don't need to dull them. Some artists just go to stage 1 with a little bit of stage 2.
Oh, really?
Honestly, some need to see it become 3-dimensional. So they get to stage 3 and then they do a tiny bit of stage 4 on their center point of interest. So it's really where you want to take it. If you look at some really beautiful contemporary art, there's some gorgeous stuff that's coming out that is so simple. It's maybe even like 9 masses with layers of color and beautiful, yummy brightness, and takes your breath away. And there's really no detail, but there are layers of color. So you decide where you want to stop. Sometimes I just go, oh, I just want to do stage 3. And then I go, no, I'm doing this for a client. No, I need to take it to stage 4. They want to see all the detail. But as I'm getting older, I want to go more simple. I don't want to put a ton of detail in. I want to see if I can do it in stage 3, most of it. And I fall in love with my stage 1 and 2 all the time.
I agree, because I find that as you head towards stage 3, you are losing that vibrancy. And vibrancy of color is what I also love to get. And so that's why I struggle with putting so much white in to try to dull them back,
Yeah. So in this painting, I would suggest that you just go where you want to go. Your stage 1 and 2 are the very most important. And if you stop at stage 2 and you love it, just leave it. Just leave it. Because it's beautiful. It really is. Jen.
Hi, good morning. I am very, very tired this morning. I set myself all up at a standing easel, but like standing is not what's required yet. So I'm gonna be watching for the first little bit, and then I'll get going as we go and finish getting myself set up. But like the coffee hasn't quite kicked in yet, so we're doing the best we can here. Just as you were talking about that, it reminded me of Franz Marc's horses. You know of him? Horses and animals. He did foxes and some other things. Pre-war Germany artist, I think. And it's like he did stage 1 and was like, I'm good. Like stage 1, maybe stage 2, and he's like, I like that. I'm gonna not do anything else. I don't know if he ever intended to take them further, but they're so bright and vibrant animal paintings.
What did you say his name was?
Franz,
Just a minute.
Franz, Mark, Marc. You want to do a Google for him? He's a good time.
Yeah,
He did the
first.
Blue Horse. Like Eric Carle has a children's book about the Blue Horse, and so you probably there it is.
Mhm.
Oh, and Mary Oliver did a poetry book with that title as well. That's one of Franz Marc's paintings on the cover.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Um,
his work is beautiful. I had the privilege of seeing it when I went to Germany. I went into the gallery and the Blue Rider, all of that whole movement was in there. And I stayed in there for 4 hours. My partner went for coffee 3 times. I came out and said, sorry, I'm going back in. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, he's great.
I remember when we were doing the horse, Diane, you had mentioned an acrylic artist from the States, a gal that you had taught, and you said to take a look at her work because she worked mainly in acrylic, and she was doing horses with you, but I can't remember her name.
Huh. Um,
I thought I'd look her up on Instagram again because
oh, okay. I will send you one of my students. Well, she's more a colleague now. Her painting is beautiful. She went into a herd and she's an animal communicator and she hadn't painted for years and they said, we want to be painted and we want you to take us out there, but we don't want you to sell the paintings. This is what they told her. We want you to show us as a group so that you can influence people on how we feel. And then she started painting with me and started painting really bright colors. And she doesn't take it all the way through to stage 4. And they're beautiful. I will send you a link if you
yeah,
want. I will.
great. No, that would be super because yeah,
Yeah,
you did.
her work is stunning. And
What's her name?
her name is Helen. Oh, jeez, I
Yeah.
just got a blank here.
Oh.
I will send it to you.
Okay.
Okay.
I guess I didn't really answer the question, I guess, about the white bowl, but just to say that I think the blocking in of the bright colors is just super revolutionary for that. Like I feel like I understand the light, dark, warm, cool, bright, dull kind of like what does it need to get to the final thing, but I think my training is all in like hyper realism, like not quite hyper realism, but like as realism as I can go. And I really like this challenge of starting with a completely like almost like for what might have been a previous teacher, like a kind of an irrational color to start with. Like it's not obviously, but just different from their method, right? And so starting with a completely different method, it's just changed my whole way of thinking. And so I think my paintings are going to go a little bit sideways for a while while I catch up and process all of this.
Oh, that's awesome, Jen. And Susan Sarback had the same thing happen. She's from New York. She was painting. She was doing some amazing things. She heard about Henry Henchy teaching at the Cape Cod School. She went there and she saw what the students were doing. And it's like when you open up Susan's book for the first time and you just go, you know, and she just went, I want that. So she went there for 8 years. She went as often as she could. Her parents hated what she was doing. All her friends went, what are you doing? Your work is, extraordinary. She was detailist and she had to go this route. And yeah, there's something that hits you right here sometimes with the color and the simplicity of this method. And what I loved about Sarback's teachings was that she gave us one more step. She gave us stage 1. There is no stage 1. Henry Henchy, it starts at stage 2, and it kind of goes how far you want to take it. But the stage 1 is Susan's gift to us, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, thank you. I'm excited to see what you're going to do, Jen.
Yeah, thanks.
You know, being a professional artist already, and where are you? Yeah, where are you going to go?
I love that the stage 1 just gives us a framework to start from so that we have a blank canvas and it's just like, okay, we can do this, we can do that, we can do this. And it's just like, you don't have to really stare at the blank canvas for too long. You can just start putting color down.
Yeah.
Jen, do you work in acrylic or
Presently acrylic, yeah, acrylic mostly. And I have some background in watercolor as well, but trying oils for the first time, so thanks.
Yay! I love all this bravery. Yay! I wanted to just read you a little quote by Rick Rubin. I finally got his book. It's called The Creative Act, A Way of Being. It's an amazing book. Just a wonderful book to read, a little page a day. The ability to look deeply is the root of creativity. To see past the ordinary and mundane and get to what otherwise might be invisible. And I kind of think Susan has given us this way of going in and looking at such a different way of color and giving it some structure so that every time we go to our easel, we can start this way and then see where it goes. So brush strokes, we haven't really talked very much about brush strokes. So strokes follow growth patterns. They follow wind patterns. In fact, the whole texture of the day. This is one of Susan's quotes. I want to show you, I'm going to do a screen share.
Diane,
Mm-hmm.
could you say what that book was, like who that book was by that you just held up?
Rick Rubin.
Rick Rubin.
R-U-B-I-N.
Okay.
Okay, can you see the pear?
Mm-hmm.
So circular strokes are not used for round objects. Every plane change is a color change and a change in stroke direction. I'm going to read that to you again. Every plane change, and you can see, I'm just going to use my cursor. Here's a beautiful plane right here. And then look at this plane above it. So every plane change is a color change. So we go from here, down to here, down to here. So it's a color change and a change in stroke direction. So look at her direction is almost sideways here, a little bit up and down here, crisscross through here. So Susan was the one that said, just don't make your brush strokes go all the same way. So what I decided to do is a lot of times I just go crisscross, crisscross, because I don't want it to be too directional. With the pear, we can now, and we are doing a pear, so we can have some fun with our brush strokes. So I just want to just say one thing about texture. Now she did use a palette knife on this, as you can see, but you can do this with brush too. And again, it is much easier in oil. So sorry for those of you that aren't using oil right now. See and feel texture by being in tune with the life force of your subject. A still morning pond, a sleepy cat, an exuberant dog, the energy of a moving animal, the smell of a pear that's ripe. Try to embody the life force of what you're working on. Now, I have chosen all the photographs, and I do apologize for the block and the orange, but it's super necessary the first time to do something really, really simple. The white bowl is way more interesting. The pear should be delightful to do. So in the beginning, I want you to have a strong structure to rest your toolbox on, and I'm going to send you these little notes for you to think about. Start light to dark each time, unless you're using acrylic. Put your colors out in your palette the same way, and this is really important for when there's a flow. And I find that I just go over to this corner for this color, and then up to the left corner for purple, into the middle for the white. And honestly, sometimes I don't even look at my palette. I'm just pulling color, and everything's going right onto my canvas. I need to know where they are, so I put them out the same way every time. Know your 4 stages, especially 1 and 2. 1 and 2 are the most important. If you decide after this course that you're never going to go to, do this again, this method, please do your stage 1. At least do your stage 1, and then paint however you want, because I think you're going to have such a radiance and such a glow coming through your colors that you're going to, fall more in love with them. You're also going to have a structure, so when things go south, you can either scrape back or put paint on, go back to stage 1, and away you go again. You don't have to have all of these drawers of things that you hate, because you can correct it so easily. One of the things is to be relaxed when you're painting. Sometimes when I'm not relaxed, I will put on some wonderful Mozart. It'll be more the soft Mozart. When I can't get through something, usually I go get some nacho chips and I put Mozart on, and then so I chew to relax my jaw. I need something to chew on, something crispy. I put the music on, and then I work through the problem. Scan your subject. I can't say enough about scanning. Those of you that scanned really well got the colors right away for the color coding, because you saw what was in light and what was in shadow. And this is a tough one. This one messes with your head, the color coding. To see color, don't look directly into your subject. You have to scan back and forth. It's like looking into the sun. If you look long enough, you'll start to see the opposite color of yellow, which is violet. So it's got to be brief and a little glimpse. And look at things as if for the first time. So we're doing a pear. We're not doing a preconceived idea of a pear. We're not doing a pear that you've painted before, or you've seen, or you've eaten. We're doing something totally different. So look at it as if it is for the first time. And one of the most important things is get up, even if you're tired, stand back, look at your painting from a distance, and see what you're noticing. The other thing we can do is we can turn it upside down, and then we just go right into our right brain, and then we can see things a little bit better. Compare, compare, compare each value on your painting. I did send you a scale of 1 to 5, but really it's not about that scale. It's about comparing one mass to the other. And always ask, how do the masses differ? And then don't be afraid to make mistakes. Of course, it's only paint. So I'm going to share, I did another, this is the one I did with my advanced color class as the last one. And I just want to share my stage 1. So this is on my stove. I have a black stove, and I put a little bit of light on it and got some amazing reflections, like way too many. Like, this is crazy. So I did a ton of painting the night before so that the demo would actually finish on time. Here's my stage 1. There we go. So there's my stage 1. beautiful shapes, really, really fun. Just had a wonderful time doing them. And then I just want to show you the finish.
Oh, nice.
This is 11 by 14, and I just want to show you the mark making on the pear. There's no really circular. There's, you know, juicy pieces of really wonderful color just plopped in there. And then, you know, the reflection was really, really fun. Making lots and lots of black with green and purple and little bits of magenta. It was a really, really neat one to do.
That's beautiful. I love that.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm just going to tag on and spotlight for everybody. Oops. Oh, looks like things are falling. So I took the liberty of, oops, one sec here. I just got to close a few screens here. Okay, I took the liberty of doing a bit of painting last night because I know Jen's going to do a little demo too. And just wanted, you don't need to watch me paint my yellows and my pinks, but what I did do is leave some of the harder decisions for us to make as a group. And I think one of the hardest ones was looking at the pear and trying to decide what was the reflection and what was the shadow, because everything is in blue. And that's the reason I chose the plate, so that you could really think about color in not an obvious way. This is definitely messing a little bit with your brain. So what I did, I'm hoping that all of you have your pear photographs so you can see. I started with lemon yellow, and I saw in the photograph how yellow and how light it was in here. I think most of you got this as yellow. I also put yellow back here because I felt that the blue plate had bits of yellow coming through rather than pink. Then this beautiful band that just kind of comes through here, and this bright, bright, bright piece of blue I did in light pink. This could have been done also in yellow, but I did it in pink. There are lots of choices. Then another obvious one was this pink band. It actually looks pink, so I think all of you got this as pink.
I used magenta on that one, so I should lighten it with
Magenta's
pink.
fine. Yeah,
Magenta's
either
okay.
pink or magenta. Magenta is actually a really good, yeah, magenta would be good because it's a little bit duller as this is. It's a little bit duller, and it's a little bit darker. So yeah, magenta's perfect. Then I did this in pink just to pull it apart right in here, this beautiful blue, and really had to squint to see the value, to see if I got the value correct. And I was putting, as Darlene said, I was putting lots of white back onto other ones to sort of pull them apart a little bit. So, you know, there's some blue in here in light. So again, I went pink, or was this magenta? No, this was magenta. This whole band, this little one here and this one here was magenta, and this one was pink. Honestly, it doesn't matter. They're in light. As long as you get the value, you could use pink or magenta.
I think I went an Indian yellow on that band.
On
Yeah.
this
On
one,
your light pink.
this one.
Yeah.
Technically you can. I think because I see so much pink in the plate, for me it had to be either magenta or it had to be pink.
Okay.
I mean, it's really how you are color seeing. What color did you do up here, Darlene?
Indian yellow again.
Yeah, that would be fine. Yeah, Indian yellow would be good. I left my Indian yellow for the top because this is my star. This is the star of the show, and it's like, wow, really lifts off. But yes, you could have done Indian yellow here. This was kind of obvious. It's a pink, and I left the end of the table out. Just keep it really simple. Did a little bit of yellow here because I saw yellow coming through the blue and it was in light. And just, so there we go. So here's here's the interesting one. Jen, what did you have for this color? Just out of curiosity.
Sorry, can you point at it again?
This one right here.
Um,
Big one that's blue. It's right beside the shadow. Do you see it in light or do you
the
see it?
partial light. So I would have gone with like the magenta one that could go either way because it's like kind of both in light and in shadow in a little bit. I think there's two sources of light.
Yeah.
Because the pear kind of has two shadows in a way, like it has its reflection and it has its shadow.
Right. Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
thought.
I
It's
think
it's
this
maybe
is
not the only thought, but it's a thought.
I think that's a really good way of looking at it. It's in half light, half shadow. What it is the reflection, and I actually see it in light.
Yeah.
So it could be basically it could be any color. It could be orange, could be Indian
Mhm.
yellow, but magenta is a really good one to put there. I haven't used any orange, and I saw that Darlene did it in orange. So I do know that orange and blue and white make a beautiful gray. So I'm actually just gonna, just so I can pull apart my values a little bit more, I'm gonna do it in orange. And Darlene, I think you were the only one that put orange there. And I
I
went,
think,
oh, what? I wouldn't have thought of orange. So thank you.
I think I put on that part was magenta, like Jen.
Oh, did you? Oh, who did
Yeah.
orange then?
I put orange, but originally I had cerulean blue.
Oh, yay, Linda. Thank you. Okay, I knew one of you did orange. There we go. Okay, so um, now I did say you were welcome to use a bit of green if you wanted to, and that would have been through here for the pear. So I wanted to show you how a lot of you used manganese through here, which would be perfect because it's a really kind of greeny blue. So what I'm going to do is take a little bit of, just show you, go, take a little bit of yellow and add it to manganese, just a little bit. And then I'm going to add a little bit of white to it, just to dull it down. There we go. And I am going to paint this manganese with a tiny bit of yellow. So I will actually pre-make my greens. And I know, Darlene, you asked in the very beginning, is this normally the palette that I use? And it is. And then I just sometimes will add special colors. And if I'm making a ton of black, I will definitely put some nice dark green out of a tube onto my palette just to make things flow a little faster, because I am very impatient. When I paint, I just, it's like, I don't know, going out and getting exercise. Yeah, I want it to move. There we go. So look at that beautiful shape. It's just gorgeous. I absolutely have fallen in love with all the shapes on this photograph. Okay, so there's my green. So it could have been lots of different colors, cerulean blue, manganese blue, any color in shadow. Yes, you could also do it magenta, but we've got so much pink going on. That's why I'm pulling in the green. So if you squint and look at the pear, did I get it dark enough?
No.
Nope, I didn't. So I'm just gonna take manganese and just go over it.
So if you have manganese blue, then you would use, I guess, cerulean to make that green.
Yeah, cerulean would be beautiful too.
Okay.
And see how I'm kind of crisscrossing. I'm not doing lengthwise. I'm not doing circular. I'm just kind of crisscrossing my way through. There we go. Okay, squint. Am I dark enough?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, we could have gone violet too, couldn't we? Yeah, this one could be a lot of different things. Is there a color I haven't mentioned that someone used? Okay. Let me just put my purple in and just set the light key right underneath here. And that will kind of help us see our values. There we go. Probably could be a little bit thicker, but I'm just going to be careful, leaving a little bit of space. And let's go to this beautiful piece back here. This is kind of the darkest part of the plate, right back here. And suggestions for colors.
I went ultramarine blue.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, that's a really good suggestion. And I think that's a little dark, so I'm just going to add white to it. There we go. So does it help having you choose the colors?
Oh, yes.
And it actually gets lighter as it goes in there, but I should leave this just as one band. And trying to make it as simple as possible. Susan Sarbach would spend no more than 15 minutes doing her stage 1. But it's because it's almost like it's just a really quick stage to get you started for stage 2. But I have taken that teaching and decided that stage 1 is so spectacular, I want to take some time with it. Okay, I could have done this in blue, but it is in light, so it ended up being pink and magenta, these two little pieces here. Again, when I first started, I drew, of course, too many shapes and did what some of you did too. Okay, that's blue, that's cerulean blue, that's cobalt, blah, blah, blah. And went, hey, just a minute, what's in light, what's in shadow? This is still in light. So we've got pinks and magentas there. Let's go to right here, the darkest shadow right beside the purple. Warm shadow or cool shadow?
Cool.
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 Ultramarine or cobalt?
Yeah, ultramarine to start.
Okay, let's go ultramarine right in here. It's really quite neat having 3 blues or 4 blues on your palette. Just gives you so much more, to make little decisions in pulling apart the colors. You know, is it a cool blue or is it a warm blue? And then the second one, the one that comes out.
Went to ultramarine blue was a bit more white.
Okay,
Or cobalt.
You could go cobalt, yeah.
cobalt.
I use cerulean.
Yeah, you know, it's getting warmer as we're moving to the right. So I definitely would
Really?
do either cobalt or cerulean. I'm going to do cerulean so you can really see the difference in the color. You can really see the warmth. Cobalt would be fine too. I think we just really want to pull it apart. So whichever one works for you. And again, these decisions, you know, can be changed in stage 2 and made more like the photograph. And then I've got, looks like, just need to finish this in here. There's some like little fussy stuff in here. That's why I did a little bit of painting last night. There we go. I think I've got that. There's also this stem that comes off, and I'm going to just do that. I'm going to actually do that in ultramarine. There we go. And then it goes into, actually goes into light. I know this is kind of crazy. So you can see the stem here in shadow, and then it actually goes into light or half light. So I'm going to use magenta.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're going to use magenta for that. And thank goodness Susan figured that out so that we could make it really simple. There we go. You can you see that little bit in there? Okay, and then I've got a stem in light right here. So again, I'm just going to put my magenta in. I actually really can't tell if it's in light or shadow, or, you know, I'm getting to the point where I don't care. So I'm just going to put magenta because it will work. There we go. Now, as we come out, what color?
Magenta.
Yes, I would probably do magenta because it's gotten really, really warm and there's pink coming through it. And you want those colors to come through, and, you know, like Darlene was saying, we don't want to cover them all up and make them into sort of dead colors. We, you know, we're doing this because we love color. You wouldn't be here if you were not in love with color. There we go. So really lovely shapes coming out, just beautiful. And what have we got left? Got a little piece right here in half light, half shadow. So what should I do it?
Magenta.
Yes, magenta. And I do believe the magenta I just put down is too dark. What do you think?
A little bit.
Yeah, it looks a little too dark, so I'm just going to add some white to it. We use a lot of white in this method. David went to Opus for me and got 4 more white. Okay.
Yeah, I just went to Swinton's online and bought 2 white.
Good for you. That's awesome. Okay, now this is going into, this is in shadow. This is in shadow. This little corner is a really cool little blue, kind of a warm blue. Anyone see that? Can you see that tiny
So
little?
cerulean or magenta?
Yeah, yeah. I actually am going to do it manganese.
Oh, I didn't mean magenta. Yeah, that's not blue.
Oh, no, you could have done it. You could have done it magenta. Magenta can work in shadow, but it's actually blue and it's in shadow. So we actually get to paint it the color we see it, which is kind of fun. So there we go. And is that,
The spot just above the one that you painted there, the magenta or manganese, that piece there. Now, that is in shadow.
yes,
And so, was that a magenta you started with?
this is, yeah,
You started with the magenta plus white.
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
And then it went into a light yellow. Okay.
Oh, sorry, I'm not sure I'm following you.
Yeah, like
Oh,
on that piece, and then if you come to the left, it went into a lighter
yeah,
yellow.
yeah.
Yeah.
You could have done this in pink up to here and then made another mass, but I'm trying to make it really simple, trying to just show you really how to simplify it. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, and now I've got this little, looks like, kind of looks like Batman coming out, the little arms right here. But I am going to have to make this a little bit lighter in order for that value to work that I'm going to put in. So I'm just putting a little bit of white onto this ultramarine, and then I've got this really beautiful little dark in here, but it's warmer. It's actually warmer than this blue. So what's my mid blue?
I went into a
Cobalt. Cobalt.
Cobalt. Let's do it cobalt. Yeah, because we don't have any cobalt on here. I'm probably going to make a mess of this. So I'm just,
I put violet in there.
oh, yeah, you could put, yeah, violet would be fine. Yeah, because this plate is getting warmer right through here, so violet would work really well.
Mhm.
And especially if you run out of blues and you want to pull it apart a little bit more. Okay, where's Batman's head? Right there. Okay, there we go. So let's just squint and let's just see if our values are correct. Let's see if I need to make anything lighter or darker. Squinting.
I think the pear at the bottom needs to be darker.
Right here?
No, that
Or
like the bottom of the pear above the dark line.
oh, right. Do you think the whole thing should be darker?
Well, definitely the bottom part.
Yeah, that would be stage 3.
Okay.
So again, we're looking at it as a whole, and it is a bit of a bright color. So why don't I just go right in? Why don't I just change this? Why don't I just do a stage 2 on this? So what color would you put on this for stage 2 to make it a little bit darker and warmer?
Either cerulean or manganese.
Yeah. Any other
Oh,
suggestions?
a violet, couldn't you?
Sorry?
A violet?
Yes. Your violet would be perfect for this. Yes, Linda, that would work too, but it might take me longer to get there.
Mm-hmm.
So I am definitely going to go with violet, and here we go. Oops.
So stage 1, you're just blocking in the color, not so much the shift in value within that color.
Correct.
Okay.
The shift in value actually comes in stage 3 because you don't make any more masses in stage 2. What you do in stage 2 is just do the warm, cool, bright, dull, and make it actually look like the color in the photograph. in stage 3 is when we start breaking down the nuances. Okay, is that dark enough? Is it
Yeah.
too dark?
I think it's too dark.
Yeah, so what would you put on it, Barb?
Orange.
A little bit of
Orange.
maybe yellow.
Yeah, let's, which yellow?
Oh, the light yellow.
Okay, let's put some light yellow. Oh yeah, there we go.
Okay.
It's making it brighter and lighter, and it's also dulling the violet. So there's going to be a lot of layers on this shadow. This is going to be quite spectacular, this shadow. It will be your most probably interesting shadow in your painting. So how does that kind of, are we getting there?
I think it's still too dark.
Feels too dark still. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, I'll just use a little bit of white. Let's just lighten it with white. So we're getting kind of an interesting violet. There we go. What I would like to put on it now is a light green. So I'm just going to make a light green. There we go. There are so many colors on the shadow and the pear. That will definitely be where you will go for your stage 3, is this shadow, and start breaking it up into the colors that you see and the different values. Okay, and this is just kind of loose. How's that?
Mhm.
Getting there?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of a process, so I'm just going to add a little bit of white to my Indian yellow and go in, put another layer. So never be afraid of your layers. If you are getting a little muddy, if you feel like, ugh, what an ugly color, well, pick up one of your brighter ones, you know, your Indian yellow or your lemon yellow or your pink, or make a bright green.
Is there a point where you have too much paint? Because I noticed when I did the, I think it was the plate, that I just scraped it off because there was like, I had a lot of paint on there.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, definitely. So this looks like a pear that is past its time. And but I still can put a few more layers on it to bring it into kind of the stage 2 that I want to. So questions?
I have a question. You were saying at the beginning of the class that when you change shape is when you change or when the shape. I don't know that word. What I'm trying to say. Like, okay, so you have that as one color, and I know I'm moving on probably to stage 3 or stage 4, but to show that the little the end, the right hand side of the pear going narrow. So you would change brush strokes kind of up. You'd have like another note further to the left of where you're putting your, yeah, right, kind of right there to show that it's going from round to more of a cone shape. Then you would use a completely different color and paint brush strokes in a different direction. Is that right?
Yes, yeah. So I'll just read you. Every plane change is a color change and
Okay.
a change in stroke direction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that in
That
Susan's
would come
book?
in stage 3, right, or 4?
Yeah, it's in her book. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, so rather than making the pear look round with just my strokes, I'm going to use bits of color that will make it turn. So I will use some orange in here, and then there's going to be a difference. And then I might use a bridge in between of a little darker Indian yellow, so that lighter Indian yellow, darker Indian yellow, orange make it become three-dimensional rather than just becoming three-dimensional with my brush strokes. We're making it three-dimensional with the plane changes. And then the texture and the direction of the brush stroke just adds to it and just gives it more life. Okay, questions? Any more questions? Because I'm gonna come around, and those of you that would like to paint, and then what I would like to do is, I don't know, Jen, did you want to do your little demo thing now?
Oh, there we go. Video is
Oh.
helpful. Video is useful.
Would this be good to show your layers right now, or?
I have the products here, but in terms of my paintings, they're still in the other room. So if you want to give me a few minutes, I
Oh
can.
yeah.
Well,
I'll just go and get everybody started painting, and when you're ready, just kind of come back. That'd be great.
Sounds good. Okay.
Okay, so just one more thing. I am looking at this blob of brown and going, ooh, did I go too quickly? And I might scrape it off.
Yeah,
And
it did
yeah,
look.
I almost feel like I went too quickly with it. So I'm going to scrape it off. I'm going to let you get started, and I'm just going to put another stage 1 layer on it. And, you know, if you want to watch me scrape it off, you can. If I just go ahead and start.
Diane, you also said to
Maybe I'm
remind
just gonna
you,
watch.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
you also said to remind you that you were going to show us how you do dry brushing
Yes,
for stage 4.
I am going to do that at the very end. I'm making
Okay.
sure that we have enough time to do that at the end. Yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
And I think I'm just going to watch today and not paint. I
Okay.
want to do it all
Yeah.
together at once.
So I'm
Sounds like a plan.
using a little ugly scrape knife.
I gotta go through.
Nice sounds of scraping. Yeah, so this is when things go south, you go back to the beginning, which is this gorgeous shape, and just give it another life, another color. I mean, it is a beautiful brown, but it's too dead for me. Okay. Oh, what color? I think I'm going to go back to a nice green somewhere. Just use a bit more cat green. I think Linda's still there. She's gone.
Okay, I can be ready whenever anyone else is, I think.
Okay, just one sec here, Jen. I'm just finishing my little stage 1 here. Oh yeah, I'm way up here with this. There we go. So I just put kind of a mid green with a bit of yellow onto that blobby brown, and I'm quite happy with that color. And
If you would have, because you had violet in there, if you would have put an orange on top, would that not have brightened it up a bit more?
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, It'll be interesting to see your layers and how you do them. Can I spotlight you? I can. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not set up for like an overhead demo or anything like
No,
that.
no, 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 no. I didn't expect you.
Yeah.
You just talk about it, Jen, because
Yeah, for sure.
that's not one of my things that I do. So I'm very grateful for you.
No, no worries. Okay, so yeah, I've been painting in acrylics for some time. Um and I use a lot of glazing layers, and one of the ways, was it Darlene that was talking about patience?
Right.
And I feel you, I'm an impatient painter as well, and that's why I usually have like 3 or 4 on the go. And so
Okay.
I can just rotate through when I'm just like, I want to pick that up. And so anyway, I can show you some of the paintings that I've done that are finished that I'm eventually gonna find homes for. But these ones I have done a lot of transparent layers and glazing layers and that kind of thing. So this guy is stone crop. And so I did not mix a green or I didn't actually really mix any colors in this. I'm just applying transparent layers over top of one another. So you can see it's like totally possible to adjust as you go. And I've got a secret weapon, 2 secret weapons that I will show you. And no blacks as well, Darlene. And
Yep.
and
Yep.
Diane. No blacks.
Oh,
Really nice.
what is your secret black recipe?
Lots and lots of layers.
Yeah.
So everything's just canceling each other out until it becomes a black.
Excellent.
Yeah. I've got this one as well, did not mix a green. So there's
Wow.
yellows and blues on that.
Beautiful.
And you said these are all acrylics?
This is all acrylic. Yeah.
Okay, that's really beautiful.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Maybe I won't check my acrylics weight yet.
There's no, yeah, that's the thing is like, you can take my acrylics out of my cold dead hands. I'm not giving them up, but I absolutely want to try oils and like paint in oils also. This is
Oh,
another
wow.
one as well. And so these background layers, there was definitely some scumbling, some dry brushing going on in some of the background layers, but there was also a fair bit of blending wet and wet as well. And so I do have my secret weapons, so I can show you that. The first thing is knowing which paints are opaque and which paints are transparent. If you're layering opaque paints, you're gonna run into some issues. And layering opaque paints, dry brushing is your best option, basically, like as far as that goes. Because you get the texture of, especially if you're working on canvas. I think if you're working on panel or something like that, it's going to be more tricky because the canvas gives like almost a stippled appearance, where like the texture of the canvas kind of allows the underneath color to shine through. So ways to tell that they're transparent: if you've got acrylics, these little dashy lines on the top of golden can show you what is transparent and what's not. And as well, there's a little, where's the little box? Where is the box on my thing? There it is. There's a little box. Can we see the slash through the box? And then this one, does this not have the same? This is an older tube, so of course they've changed the branding on it and they've moved the box on it for me. But if the box is full, if it's full black, it's pretty opaque. This one is semi-transparent here, so it's got a white line, or it's got a line through it. But mostly like looking at those bars on golden can kind of help you tell if it's transparent or not.
So do you mostly use zinc white then when you're painting?
So zinc white I use for glazing those layers and blending, lightening colors. Like it's kind of a dial from, if you want to take your color like very far from darker to lighter value, then titanium white, a little smidge of that is going to take it pretty far. Zinc white, you're going to like dial it in exactly where you want it. It will help you kind of get it really close to where you want it. Yeah. So the transparency of the actual the paint is helpful. On the Opus brand. It just literally says transparent on the side. So layering transparent layers, you can layer them straight out of the tube if you want to, but you can also use medium. And so, yeah, as I said, zinc white is one of my secret weapons because I can adjust by layering zinc white over top of something and just like letting it dry and then putting the next layer on top of that. So there's a lot of color, white, color, white, color, white in the layers.
Jen, is your
Yeah.
zinc quite completely transparent?
No, it's just barely, like you can see the difference between the dark writing on the golden label here, where the words are, and then the ink on the bottle is covered up by a swatch of the actual paint on the front here. So it is slightly, yeah, it's mostly transparent actually, but it's still a little bit opaque.
That's interesting because we use zinc, on our face to block the
Yeah,
screen, and you would think that would be more opaque.
yeah, you'd think so. It's
Yeah.
off, but
Okay.
it's so useful. The next secret weapon is this guy, gloss glazing liquid. This is a slow drying additive, so it's a medium. Mediums, and I've got gloss medium here as well. Gloss medium, you're probably gloss or matte or satin, whatever medium. Medium is just acrylic paint with no color in it. That's all it is. The equivalent of just like oil, plain oil by itself. So uh gloss medium, you can glaze like smaller areas. Like if we were doing the pear and we just wanted to like do that like underside part of the pear, you could probably get away with this because it's just gonna make your paint more transparent over a smaller area and you don't need to worry about it drying too fast or anything like that. This dries at the regular speed of regular acrylics.
Okay, one question for you, Jen. Do you mix your mediums into your paint and then put it on, or you just, okay, so you're
On the palette.
pre-mixing on the palette?
On the palette.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What
And
is the ratio that you use with the medium?
entirely depends on how transparent you want it.
Yeah,
You can go
exactly.
like nearly glass, like almost, sometimes I put a clear coat on just because I want to. And so you can just put in a tiny amount or you can do a full amount. It's totally up to you.
So it doesn't affect, like it doesn't make the paint flaky or anything down the road?
Oh, no way. No, it's
But if
only
you put
it's
too
just
much
all it
water
is
in, it
more.
does?
Yeah, if you're using water to thin your paint, you're affecting its adhesion.
Okay,
Yeah,
Stuff is
but
like
the
the glue
mediums don't do that.
together. No, the medium is just basically more acrylic paint with no color in it.
Oh, okay.
That's all it is.
yeah,
And so it's really useful. So the gloss glazing liquid, this one is a slow drying version of this. And
Yeah.
so this one is really good if you need to glaze the entire thing. If you're glazing the entire surface, this is amazing for that. Because it's not, if you use the other one, it would just dry in the corner by the time you get back to it. This way you can kind of have an even coat. This one is also really good to put down first and then do some wet and wet blending on it. So this will take probably like half an hour to 40 minutes-ish to dry completely. So you can kind of get away with a little bit more wet and wet blending. You can kind of put a layer of this clear coat on, and then you can add your colors onto the canvas and then just do a little bit of like the kind of same kind of light touch blending that you would do with oils. So you could kind of use this to kind of prime your surface, I guess, to
to help mix it, yeah.
help the mixing happen. What's the other thing of this is it does just slow your paint's drying time as well. So you can mix a little bit into the colors on your palette and it'll slow them down a little bit, but it's not really supposed to be for that. This stuff is for that. This stuff is a
Very
slow
true.
drying additive called retarder. It really, really slows the drying time down quite a lot. And this one you would just add like a little tiny drop. This does not affect transparency at all, so you can use this full strength opaque, but this turns your acrylic paints into slow drying acrylic paints. You just have to add a couple drops on the palette, mix it in when you're setting up,
Yeah.
and then you can have your full palette of paints.
You drop it right on the color blob.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I just do like 1 or 2 little drops on the actual thing.
I haven't used a lot of the retarder. I've used glazing and the other mediums as well.
Yeah, so you can try to bring those in.
The retarder, do you find it gets sticky if you use too much?
I think it probably would, but you literally only need a couple little tiny drops,
Yeah.
like per paint blob on
Right.
your palette. This is really useful for plein air as well because your acrylics are drying outside. Golden also does have a line of open acrylics. I didn't bring it from the other room, but they have a line of paints that's called open, and then that just is a slow dry. They're just slow drying acrylics.
Are the opens the water-based oil, or is that different?
No, open, it's opus. Jeez. My God. Good morning.
You're in your right brain.
Until where my brain is at. Uh, no, there's no oil whatsoever in the Golden Open. They are only acrylic paints, and there's just this stuff is basically already in it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So they're
Good to know.
slow drying acrylics that you can use more like oils.
So you would use that more in your paintings, probably the open?
The open, I actually only just got some to try them
Okay.
recently, but this stuff I have because I don't want to buy all new paint. I would
Right.
rather just use a tiny bit of this and just have a little bit of effort of mixing when I start rather than
And
whole
then
new.
when you're painting, are you using fluid acrylics or?
Oh yeah, sometimes I use fluid. Yeah.
Yeah. Fluids
I
is just way much easier.
I
Get
don't use a lot
mediums.
of I don't use a lot of really impasto brush strokey marks in my paintings yet. At some point I'm sure I will. But my present ones are really flat.
Yeah,
And
they're smooth. Yeah.
fluids
Smooth
go
and
down
blended.
really quickly. Yeah.
Okay.
Jen, if you were going to add texture, kind of like we're using with oil, what medium would you suggest using to
There's so
make it
many,
feel?
Diane.
Oh,
There's
there's so many.
so many.
Like,
Oh, goodness.
just kind of pick one and I'll just write it down. So when I'm coaching people on acrylics, I can
Um,
say, yeah.
yeah, gel medium maybe. Uh, Gel medium is a good place to start. Fiber paste is another good one.
Okay.
There's
This
a
is
whole
texture.
section at Opus. There's a whole section.
Okay.
These little white jars that are about this big. And they
So
all say
buy the
something
whole
different on
thing,
them.
right? And play
Yeah,
with
it's a whole thing. That's a whole other thing. But you can mix that
You're
in.
to add texture at this point with the gel mediums.
Yeah.
What the question was? Yeah. Okay.
The question was, what do we use if we want those chunky impasto? You can either use the heavy body straight out of the tube and just let it dry.
Yeah.
So just like put your brush mark down and then leave it alone until it's dry, and you'll still get some good impasto from that. But if you want to go even heavy body, like heavy gloss medium, make sure it's heavy gloss, probably not soft gloss, heavy
Body.
gel medium. That's what I want to say. Heavy gel medium or fiber paste is another good one. But there's so many that you can use. We have at the Victoria store, we have this like flag made of canvas that's got all these swatches on it of all the different kinds of pastes and all
I
the
did
different.
that. There was a golden representative came in and with all the mediums, and we did that same thing with all the swatches, and it was amazing to see the changes. Yeah.
Yeah. I wanna champion one more thing for the zinc white is it does amazing mist.
Okay.
If you ever need a foggy background, this is your friend.
Yeah, and even if you were to use your titanium white with tons of medium,
Yeah.
okay, you will get that same effect.
Yeah.
Because it's working like a what was the word? Can't remember. With David Langevin's classes, he does that. Okay, so he does tints, and tints you add the white. Glaze you just use the straight acrylic,
Mhm.
and there's I can't remember that's the one with the white, and it'll push things back, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Or you could even do a tint with the white, blue, push your sky back.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's endless, and that's where I loved all the glazing and stuff, but patience
Mhm.
is virtue, and like you say, you've got to be working on more than one piece to do this type of method, I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, smart move.
Yeah, that's all I have. Any last questions?
I just have a quick question back to the retarder. When you put a couple drops on the blob of paint, are you mixing it in then? Do you take a
Oh
pellet?
gosh, yeah. Yeah.
You have to mix it together. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's where I'm with Diane. I'm in the Diane camp of I don't like to mix with a palette knife for the most part. Like I don't love using the palette knife overall. But I find that when I'm setting up my palette in the first place and I need to mix things into my colors, I find then it's useful because I'm not just constantly washing my brush.
Right.
Time is just like one wipe and I'm done for that part.
Yeah.
But then when it comes time to like mix colors to put on my canvas, then I'm like, okay, like look, it's drying. We gotta go. Like, hurry up. It's
So how long do you think it lasts for? Like if you have your palette of acrylic colors, you've got the retarder in, you've mixed it, how long do you have to paint?
this would probably let it stay. Well, if you kind of keep all your paint like up in a blob too, like keep it
Yeah,
all
yeah.
like minimize the surface area,
In
that
a fairly
helps.
big blob.
Yeah, that helps. And it might skin over the top, but the underneath part will still be fine for a while. You can use a plant mister to keep everything wet.
Yeah.
If you go for lunch, you can put a wet paper towel under a lid of a takeout container over top of your palette if you just have a wooden palette. But there's also the Stay Wet palette, which is really handy. That's got a sponge and a piece of parchment.
Yeah.
And then you can have a lid that's sealed. Actually, I'm literally using that to keep my oil paints. So this is just what I'm using to like store the oil paints in when I'm not using them. It's not what I'm painting out of, but
And you use the wet under in that too?
yeah, you can have the oh, it smells like cloves. It's good. But yeah, I have another one of these for the with a sponge and that they stay wet in there for like weeks.
Oh, they do.
When
Like
you're
acrylics.
using Jen, when you're using your mediums, you're not washing, when you wash your brush out to change your color,
Yeah.
you make sure that it is fairly dry, do you not? And then go back to your glazing. Are you particular about that?
Sorry, can you ask one more time?
Because when you wash your color out of the brush,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to a blue glaze now. You would dry your brush very well on a towel, go to the glazing, and that's what is the fluid on your brush to get things moving, not water, correct?
Right. Well, it's good to have your brush damp in the first place so that the acrylic doesn't make doesn't make friends too much with the bristles because they can
Yeah.
get stuck on your bristles if you're using a really dry brush with the acrylic straight. So just to dampen your brush, it's okay if your brush is damp.
Yeah.
A little bit of water is not going to harm anything. But if you're
Mix-
if you're diluting your paints with water, then you can affect their adhesion. But you can still do that.
Okay. The other question I have for you, there is gloss matte glazing liquid. I have heard that if you're using a gloss, glazing, you then would go to a gloss varnish to finish
Sure.
the piece.
Well, it's up to you, and it's up to the person who, I guess, wants to own the piece as well. If you're using a matte, if you're using gloss all the way through, you might as well just go with a gloss varnish because you're just
Yeah.
keeping the same effect all the way through. But I know there's people that are really opposed to the gloss for some reason. They just really like a matte finish. And then, you could put a matte varnish on top of what you've been using gloss all along. You could put a matte varnish in. It's going to knock it all down a little bit. Like the saturation of the color is going to be slightly muted. But you can it's up to you, basically.
Yeah, no, okay.
Personal
I had
choice.
just heard that, and it kind of affects if what is happening with your the colors, and like you say, the knockback of the colors.
Mhm.
So, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think final point on the glazing of layers and the many transparent layers is that light is physically going into towards the canvas and bouncing back out through all those layers. So it's going in and coming back out again. So you're really seeing all the different layers at the same time. I think that's still happening in our paintings with oils because the oil kind of has its own luminosity. And, if we're only doing, 2 or 3 or maybe 4 kind of layers on it, it doesn't get too complicated, I think. But yeah, having the light physically coming through and back out of those layers, like it is kind of what's giving that like really amazing depth and complexity to the.
So reflection or bouncing back.
Mhm.
With the golden open, I don't know, do they make a fluid in that? They don't, do they?
They might. I might have to get back to you on that by email. I'm going to
Yeah.
work tomorrow, so.
Because that
Back.
would be a big bonus.
I think so. I think there's a fluid medium, but you could still use this with the fluid medium.
Yeah, and then just put it in, yeah. It just, and that will not dilute the pigment, right?
Yeah, yeah. I do sometimes as well, like just work in like 1 or 2 colors on a whole bunch of paintings at the same time. And so like working in little cups can kind of help too, because then that sort of forces it all into a small surface area.
And
Anyway,
have blue glazes or
I
orange
can nerd
glazes.
out about this all day, but I don't want to co-opt Diane's
Yeah.
class.
You and I
Adding it
could
to our
talk
painting time.
for a long, long time.
Yeah, I can see this as a course in itself.
It is, yeah, yeah.
Thank you. I've got some great notes to help students that want to do that. And your work is just beautiful, Jen. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And
thanks a
sorry for
lot.
using brown.
Sharon,
That was really interesting.
thank
Yeah,
you for sharing all that information. That was great.
Yeah.
yeah, that was amazing.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm like, whoa, I'm gonna go try all this stuff, but then I go, oh, I don't. No, I've got to keep it simple because I like to work really fast, and I've got a method that works. So
Yep.
there we go. Thank you.
Fair enough. I think the other thing to say is like we can still put oils on top of our acrylics. So you could do your stage 1 in acrylics
Hmm.
and then go to town with oils on top of it.
That's a
And
cool idea.
would you put any of those transparent mediums on it
Um,
before you went to oils, or would you just go right to oils because the acrylic is enough?
I think I would maybe if I did stage 2, I would use the transparent mediums. If I went to stage 2 in acrylics first. And if I'm just putting oils over top, I think I don't know what I would do. I don't know how to do that yet. I'm gonna maybe
There
find
you go,
out.
Linda. You can play with that. And Barb. All right, we've got.
This is, I just wanted to show this. This is one, Jen, that I did with the transparencies and your 3
Nice.
levels, right? And you can do that with all of your color palette to see if you start, say, with a phthalo blue, then put a red oxide on top, and then a blue as your 3rd layer,
Mhm.
and how it affects, and then what colors you're actually going to get, because, you know, it will change up just like in Diane's method. With the dry brush on top, then you are getting that same effect. But
Mhm.
with the glazes, you're getting color shifts a lot. Yeah. So, and I mean, that's quite interesting as well to do that type of thing.
Awesome. Thank you, Darlene.
Yeah.
I'm just going to kind of scoot through whoever's painting, and then I'm going to go back to the demo. And what I would like to do is show a tiny bit of stage 3, and then I've got a flower painting that I've started, and I just want to show you how I dry brush on it, and then we'll be finished. And Jen, I know you're not painting today, so I won't be too long. I've got 3 students to just kind of see how you're doing. If Or do you want me just to go into my stage 2 and just finish?
Yeah. I'm not painting today, so whatever you feel is fair.
Barb?
I can show you what I have so far, which is not much.
Okay.
Just, oh, how do I do this here? All right.
Ah, nice.
That's all I got. Are
Okay.
those, and once again, it's just, I didn't know if that value was too dark because it looks so white gray to me.
You will know when you put the other colors in next to it.
Okay, very
Um,
good.
Yeah, the yellow is the hardest to know for value, and I did go over quite a bit with white. So why don't I just continue, because it
All right.
seems like it works, just everybody demoing and giving advice has been awesome. Thank you so much, everyone, and I learned a ton. I'm just going to spotlight me, and then we've got more time for questions. Whoops, sorry, wrong one. Oh man, sometimes it's so hard to do technology when you're in your right brain. It just you just can't get there. I don't know if you guys ever have that problem, but I sure do. Alrighty.
Oh no, I absolutely have that problem.
When I sent out the dates for the horse thing, I was totally in my right brain. Everybody got back to me. Oh no. Okay, so I'm still not super happy with this, although I've got the most beautiful olive green you can imagine. So I kind of feel like I want to change it again. So just asking for suggestions on making it look more like the pear. Okay, would you put some orange in? Would you put more yellow in?
I would try the orange.
Okay,
Orange. Yeah.
I'm almost thinking that I'm going to make a little bit of orange. Just use a bit of my yellow, just so it's not too dark. And let's just see what we have. And again, yeah, good call. I'm liking the orange. Yeah, it's coming back. Doesn't look like a green, brown blob. It's got back into kind of full spectrum color there. How's that?
That looks good.
Yeah. And when we squint, it is a pretty dark value, although, I see a lot of light here. I see a lot of light here. I see darker down here. But again, in stage 1, you've got to squint, 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 and there you go. And you can actually decide what your value is. I think if we look at it too closely, it would be really hard to decide. I think if you step back and squint, then you've got it. So I'm probably going to go into a whole bunch of blue because all of this here needs to look like the photograph. So I'll just start, maybe I'll just start right, oh, let's start here. Let's make this little difference here. So we've got orange and we're looking at our photograph. It's kind of a pinky, orangey, warm blue. And we've already got warmth underneath it, so it almost doesn't matter what blue we put on top because we have so much warmth coming through. But I think I'm just going to pick cerulean. It's kind of my go-to, like when I use magenta. And let's just see what we get for a blue-gray. So we're definitely going into the blue-gray if we have orange underneath. And I like what you said, Jen, about the transparent and opaque. And most of you have figured out, you know, which ones those are and how the colors go on top. And to use, say, cad orange a little bit more delicately because it is so opaque or goes on and really covers. So there we go. There's a lovely little blue-gray in there. And let's just move over to this kind of pink. What blue would you put on top of this pink?
Seems to have more yellow in it. I'd use magnesium.
Okay, yeah, let's use magnesium. And again, really what we want to do, again, in stage 2 is pull it apart. But we are doing warm on cool, cool on warm. Again, I'm really trying to simplify this. When I was teaching in high school, it had to be super, super simple. There wasn't tons of focus except with the grade 11s and 12s. And did I get it actually? No, it actually doesn't even look yellow enough, does it? I almost feel like I would want to add another layer of yellow to it. So would I add my Hansa yellow, which is lemon yellow, or would I add more of an orange? Darlene?
Gotta go to the lemon yellow first and see where I got.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So I think if I put that in there, we're thinking Indian yellow is.
Oh, Indian yellow, sorry, a little darker.
Oh,
Yep.
Indian yellow is really close to orange for me. So it might turn it too gray. So I think I'm going to do what you said. Okay, now it's turning it very green.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, see that? But I actually see, no, I don't know. Okay, I'm going to go Indian.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those decisions, usually have to be made right on your canvas. Sometimes just thinking them through doesn't work. There we go. So we're getting really nice different nuances of blues. So let's just continue up. I have magenta here. And what do you see? Warm, cool. What color would you put on top of that? I'm trying to think, do I see a bit of green in there? What do I see? Which blue should I use? And again, the plate is still quite warm here. It gets really cool back here, but it's still a little bit warm here. So we could do cobalt, cerulean, or manganese.
Yeah, I'll go to a cobalt because you have ultramarine.
Close to it. Yeah, good call. And it is a little darker right here in the center. So again, it's just playing with your warm, cool, and trying to pull apart the masses. So that is a little bit too dark. Just going to add just a touch of white to it. I'm using one of my favorite little stiff brushes. It is a no name. I got this one at Swinton's, and it is actually a filbert, so it's rounded on the top, and it's quite short. It's only about 1/2 inch in length. And I can really press into it, especially on the second layer, and almost more like a palette knife can lay them on, as opposed to using this beautiful brush, which is softer and bends more and is really great for fur and doing like little corners and things like that. This one will actually help me put it on a little bit easier. Okay, let's go to the pink. So again, it's sort of a pinky blue. Any thoughts about what blue should go here? We've got cool here, but this actually feels quite warm because it's got the pink on it. So you want to keep it a little bit warm. So cobalt or cerulean, or have I lost you guys? Are you, I don't know, is everybody tired today? I think so. I woke up very sick this morning, so I had to do my Wim Hof power breathing and have my hot cold shower to get to this class this morning. Okay, I just used cerulean and it worked really well. And so I'm going to continue that beautiful cerulean just around the edge. Maybe you guys just want me to entertain you, so I'll just go. It's okay. There we go. Beautiful. There, went around. Okay, so I'm looking right here. Okay, this beautiful piece here, and it's really warm. I'm just going to keep putting cerulean on. Sometimes you get one color, and you can just go with it. Like Jen says, I like to go fast. And there's something sometimes about going just with your intuition that brings a beautiful flow into your painting. And you know, it's all quiet, nobody's in the house, husband's not coming in and out, slamming doors, cats don't need to go to the catio. It's just,
Patio.
we have a catio, David built one.
That's cute.
And you just get into this wonderful flow. And sometimes, you know, sometimes it takes about 20 minutes to still inside. When you finally have stilled everything outside of you, you know, your environment, and you know, no texts are coming in, you've turned your phone off, and you can just paint. And it's such a beautiful feeling. Something I experience on my horses also, same thing, when I quiet and tune in and connect with them. It's kind of the same feeling. There we go. There. I'm just putting cerulean everywhere. And
So
until
when
you
you're
guys
doing
stop me.
when you're doing that, Diane, like, so you wouldn't think about like your blues going from ultramarine, cobalt, cerulean, and manganese as you're working away from the dark.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Instead of just one color.
But this is pretty warm. This
Okay.
is quite warm. As I go in, it gets cooler. As I go out, for my eye, it actually gets warmer.
It's warmer. Yeah.
Yeah, it gets warmer to me. I did put a cobalt down here, and I put a cerulean here, because there is a little bit of a difference. And let's look at this beautiful piece here. Ooh, this one. That one is going to be manganese. There we go. Okay.
Ooh.
What?
Sorry, I just got excited for a second because I mixed a green for the shadow of my pear, like, or for the
Yeah.
blocking
Do you
color.
want to show us?
Yeah, okay. Hold on, let me put a bit more of it down because it's so good. It's Indian yellow and manganese, and I'm like, oh man.
Okay, just hang on. Let me remove
Wait,
the
is it
spotlight.
manganese? I don't
And
actually know
Jen,
what
I'm
color.
going to spotlight you.
Hold it up
There we
because
go.
whoop, nope. How do we do this? There we
There.
go.
There we go.
It's hard to see exactly, but yeah, this camera is not doing it justice in terms of like what color that's actually coming out.
So what did
But
you mix? Manganese blue and?
it was either cerulean or manganese, or cerulean or manganese and Indian yellow.
Wow.
Let me turn off my background here so that I can.
What a rich green.
Yeah, it's really foresty. But if I zoom in, there you go. Maybe
Gorgeous.
let me see if I can, hang on, I gotta find a place that's not oily to like hold it. If I can pull that up, there we go.
See it, it's beautiful.
I'd sort of scumble it a bit.
Yeah, now I can see the,
And you can see what color it actually is.
yeah.
And it's just like, oh, I want it because I used Indian yellow up here, and I thought, well, then it'll be all harmonious if I continue to use
Yeah.
Indian yellow in whatever green that is.
Nice.
So Jen, you used your glazing medium with that?
No glazing medium. No, no, no. This is
no.
oils.
Okay.
This is oils. I'm using
No,
oils.
I'm just asking.
Absolutely. No mediums. Not
No
yet.
mediums, all right.
Yeah.
Not in oils yet. I don't know. I'm curious to find out like what kinds of, but I know there's like fast drying mediums, and I know that there's people that still like to use solvents, and I'm definitely not in that frame of
No.
mind at all. I do not want that. But in terms of like other mediums, the one kind of thing that I'm interested in and trying at some point is the extender medium from Williamsburg. It's like it's got calcium, like it's got like marble dust in it and linseed oil or something, and so it's basically just bulk. So I think it can give like really good impasto chunkiness.
Is this for oil?
Yeah.
Wow, that sounds really cool.
Yeah, check it out. It's Williamsburg, which is Golden's answer to oils. It's the same company as Golden. It's the parent company.
Right. And the quality is unsurpassed in those.
It's pretty nice.
Okay, you guys, help me out here. Got yellow, and we want to make it look like the photograph. Is that a warm blue? What do we have going down here?
White and oh no, blue first. Blue first.
So
And
what blue?
And it's cool. So
Is it cool or is it
Goes into
warm?
the manganese blue.
It's
Oh,
warm. Like a very pale version of a manganese or cerulean.
I think I would go cerulean. It doesn't feel warm. It doesn't feel as warm as down here in this corner. Feels like cerulean. It feels like I need to go somewhere in between. So I'm going to go very, very lightly over it. And I did this last night. So actually my yellow is kind of sticky. Almost sticky.
And yet you just did it last night. Is it because it's a thin layer of paint?
That's a good question. I don't know, Linda.
Are you using my awful fast drying white?
But I did buy an Opus white one time and had all this fast drying happening. And then I went, you know what? I wonder if they mislabeled it. It
Oh
was actually
no.
acrylic because I put water with it and it worked really well. So I went,
Wow.
but it didn't work very good with my oil paint.
Oh no. Oh my
So I
God.
took it back and they were like, oh my goodness.
We are so sorry.
So yeah, it's good, like sometimes things happen. And this is when they had just kind of brought that line out, their new Opus line out. So
I see a lot of pink under there too.
yeah, I do too. So this is just our first layer. There we go. It actually does get darker here, even though I didn't mean to make it darker here. I'm trying to make this all one mass and be a good teacher. But if I was by myself, I would be cheating right now and making this darker over here. Okay, let's go pink. Let's go pink as our second layer. So this is opera pink. So I'll show you the difference again. Is that opera pink or no? This is opera pink. There we go. Bubblegum, bubblegum, bubblegum. And the other one is quinacridone rose. So I'm just going to use quinacridone rose. It's a little bit duller, kind of like between cerulean and manganese, you know. The opera pink is more like manganese, and the quinacridone rose is more like cerulean. So we do see a little pink in here, so ever so lightly, kind of like a butterfly, just layer. So
Have you used that brush for the entire painting?
no, I used this little short one to start with, and then I used this long one, and now I'm using a 1/2 inch wide one.
Okay.
It's a big area, and this is soft and long, so I wouldn't want to use this little short one because I'll
Right.
push it in and mix it too much like I did here. I just want to use it almost like a palette knife, just going in soft, and just putting a little bit of a pink feeling to it, not necessarily making it solid pink. So it's starting to warm it back up into the pink there. So now I want to dress this one back here. What color would you put in here? It needs to be, to me, it needs to be a little darker, and it needs to have,
Violet.
yeah, violet or,
Magenta.
no, I think that'll make it too warm.
Oh, that purple dioxide purple?
Yeah. So what I might do is just try the purple first and just see if that's enough, because purple and blue make violet. So good call there, Barb. Yeah, I think it will be.
That's
And
beautiful.
I'm using this 1/2 inch long brush. And just, so what's really beautiful is yellow and purple are opposite on the color wheel. And I know Barb sent me this beautiful painting of sheep that had lots of yellow, and then the opposite, which was violet, throughout its coat. And here we are, Barb. We have the opposites. We've got the Indian yellow and we've got the purple. And it's just so neat that it ended up right here, because this is going to bring our center point of interest to here.
Right.
Okay, then we've got this big piece of yellow here. And so we have to go, what kind of blue is that? What are we seeing? And I'm just wiping my brush because I don't want purple in that. I don't want to influence it. Of our 4 blues, which one do we pick? Anyway, Jen.
Sorry, I'm in the zone. Wait, what?
Oh, okay, sorry. I know. Our
One more
brains
time.
don't work when we're in the zone.
Happy to answer the question. I just would need you to ask one more time.
Okay, so here's the yellow here, and we're
Yeah.
looking at our photograph.
Yeah.
What blue do we want here? I see
Mm.
yellow coming underneath it, so I want to keep that. It's not completely green, so I wouldn't go all the way to manganese, but it's not super cool.
Yeah, cerulean's kind of what's left, but I have a color on my palette that I want to put forth as a contender, even if you might not have it.
Okay.
Opus has a glacier blue.
Oh, I have it.
It's so pretty.
Okay.
It's kind of a warm, it's like the Lake Louise situation.
It is beautiful. I'll just show it to you.
That is nice.
I couldn't resist it. I was looking at all the and I was like, I don't know, I'm gonna get it.
I couldn't either. I got their lavender too. It's really pretty.
Is that like a teal or a turquoise, that one? Like
Kinda.
if you don't have opus?
Yeah, kinda.
Okay, here we go. Ooh.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, that's nice.
Ooh. Okay, so Darlene, you know, that just went out the door. Do I just use the same colors every time? No. I'm a little bit like Jen, you know, oh, I have this really neat color. Let's just use it. So if Jen hadn't said anything, I would have gone to probably just cerulean or manganese.
Right. But a teal would also work there.
So now it's a little too green, and I need it to look like that beautiful blue plate. So what color would I put on it now?
Cerulean.
Yeah, let's go cerulean. So cerulean is duller. It's like a nice dull warm blue. It's it's my go-to. That and magenta I use a lot, but cerulean, when I'm not sure for a blue, quite often I will just pick cerulean. And I'm going carefully. I'm adding little bits of white too because it is a little bit lighter. But I am kind of going with the direction of the plate. It's really the pear that we're going to have some fun with.
That color that you did with that teal color, the glacier color, I would take a bit of that and put it where the yellow is on the lit side, like more under the shadow of, no, up more down. Yes, right down below that. No, down into the yellow strip. Yeah, I'd put that in there just to make it a little cohesive, just at the bottom where the shadow is.
Okay, here.
No,
Oh, here.
no, I was thinking under the orange shadow, just to tie it together instead of just having a color. Yeah. Yeah, because then it ties it together in my mind.
Oh, I see. Yeah, coming through. Got it. Um, Good, Linda. You're seeing the whole thing. All right. What have we got? We've got these two. Oh, this one we haven't quite got the color yet, but it's getting close. So I think I could do another layer of cerulean. Just again, here's cerulean. So I've just done cerulean and cerulean. On carefully.
Diane, I have a question.
Yeah.
I have a few paint colors that have dried out from last week a little bit. They're just really tacky on the palette. Can I wake that up with a tiny bit of oil? Not like adding a lot of it, but like, is there a way to kind of save it on the palette, or is it kind of just scrape it off and
I would scrape it off.
yeah.
What happens if you add oil to it is you're going to get different shiny spots on your canvas. And
Right.
sometimes if you don't wipe off the canola oil, you will also get, a little bit of bloom here and there. And yeah, I know we want to save it. I mean, you can take a palette knife to it and see if there's anything left.
Yeah.
Kind of like stir it up and wake it up. But
Yeah.
I personally wouldn't add, I wouldn't. Because
Okay.
what you're going to do is you're actually going to change the viscosity, the thickness,
Yeah.
of the paint by
Okay.
putting something like that on there. Good question. Very good question.
Yeah, I
So
was wondering about that too.
that would hold true for acrylics as well, would it not, if you were adding a little bit more water in an area to the paint? And one, like, especially with diagonal purple.
To a point. I feel like with acrylic, I feel like you can still wake it up a reasonable amount with medium and a bit of water. But if it starts looking chunky or flaky,
Yeah.
spotty, then I would check it.
Yeah.
But if it reconstitutes and it still looks smooth, I think you're good to go with acrylics.
Right. Okay.
I like that you just did, Diane.
Thank you. Those of you that don't have this beautiful glacier blue yet, just use your manganese, okay? And I put a layer on, but you know what? I feel like I want to put another layer on. This is really fun. I was going to tell you, I have so much fun having you go, oh, why don't you guys try this? It's wonderful, the camaraderie. Thank you. Okay. There, it's coming. See? But it was slow layers. I just want you to know, it's slow layers that I'm putting. This one here, I'm just going to take my cerulean, and because I want it to be a little bit cooler than this beautiful one. Just pulling it apart, warm, cool, pulling it apart. Good conversation today, everyone. Really good conversation. There we go. And now this thing. and right underneath the pear. So what color would we put on the dioxazine purple underneath the pear?
Orange, yeah.
I think orange is I love orange and dioxazine purple. There we go. Just do one more little run. There we go. And what about this ultramarine blue that we have, this beautiful cool blue? We're getting this color is reflecting into this blue and warming it up. So what color would we make that blue?
More orange.
Yes. So I'm going to go to this little stubby brush because I'm using the orange is stickier. I find it's one of the colors that dries out the fastest in oils. And it's kind of sticky, and in order to, I kind of want to sort of mix it up a little bit by pressing into it. And getting a really nice shadow color here. And I'm going to my little thin brush to do the stem. There we go.
Okay.
And so what about the blue right next to it? What do we want to do with that? So do we want to gray it a little bit? We could gray it by putting orange on it. Or do we want to go part way around the color wheel? Do you want to add like a violet to it? What are your thoughts?
I think I'd go to a violet because the transition wouldn't be as great.
Ah, nice, Darlene. And you can make violet so many different ways. I'm just picking up a little bit of pink, and I have a bit of violet here. I'm just making it a little bit pinker. And I hate using palette knives. I had to use one for 7 years, so I'm just mixing with my brush. And I think, yeah, I think it's gonna go. I think it's gonna fly. Let's just see.
Could you have used orange there too?
Yes, you could. Yep. That's why it's great to do this together because there's so many ways of getting there. And I'm going to put a bit of violet in here just to darken and dull that slightly. That's a really good choice. It's really beautiful in real life, much more beautiful than, do I want to put violet anywhere else? Just kind of looking. I haven't put a blue here. I just want to put a little bit of violet in there. Sorry, this is a stage 3. I'm putting violet there. This pink that's right above just this part of the pear just tucks behind. What?
Manganese.
Manganese? Yeah, I think so. I think that glacier blue would be a little bit too much there too.
Yeah.
So this is a much more complex painting than your white bowl because the blues are very subtle. Although you all have good color seeing, you're all advanced, you see a lot. So it's a great exercise to do. I have a little bit of yellow right here, and it's almost like a pinky, yellow, blue. So I'm just going to grab cerulean. It's kind of my go-to. And just put that in there. And I will, in between here, it looks like cerulean. There we go. Now this beautiful piece right in here that is shiny. It's kind of the most spectacular part besides the top of the pear. What kind of blue is that? Take a really good look at it.
I would say cerulean.
Okay.
Ultramarine.
Cobalt and white.
Yeah. It's either cobalt or ultramarine. And the reason is it's so clear. It doesn't actually have a lot of warmth. It's super, super clear. Now we've got pinky white underneath. So I might actually, if I didn't, it looks like cobalt to me, but if I didn't have the pink underneath,
Yeah, okay.
I think I'm
Ultramarine.
gonna go ultramarine.
Yeah.
Yeah, because look at this. I won't be able to see it, but look down here. See how bright that is? That's your ultramarine. So let's go ultramarine. Okay, here we go. Because it already had warmth underneath it, so we could use pure ultramarine with white. We should kind of get that effect. This is pretty gooey, so I did do a lot of layers to try to get the right value. Like, what is that value? So now I'm going, okay, I think I want that cobalt because it's not exciting enough. Let's just glaze a little bit of cobalt over. And I don't think that we will get that exact color.
Cobalt is for better though, I think.
Cobalt is starting to give it, and then you have to squint and go, what is the value? It's pretty light, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got to go darker.
So I'm going to darken it first with cobalt. It's going to be one of those ones that might take you a little bit to get to. And do I put white back on it?
Mm-mm.
I think white will dullien it,
Yeah, I think you're right. I think I'll just pull the tail out. There we go. Okay. So, we haven't done anything to the top of the pear. Thoughts about the top of the pear?
Orange or Indian yellow?
Okay, it is Indian yellow already. Anyone else?
Yeah, so the opposite, which would be more like magenta.
Ooh, good call. I like that. Or do we just want to use a pink?
Pink probably to start, and then magenta as you work down, maybe.
Yeah, I think you're right. So I'm just mixing a bit of pink. I'm just looking for the right pink. I think it's got to be opera pink because it's got a bit of magic in it, the opera pink. Sorry, I'll show you. Here's the opera pink down here. And I'm just going to put a tiny bit of white with it, not too much. I don't want to kill it because I want this to be very bright. I do want it to be bright.
Oh, that's nice.
So I just want to let you know the opera pink is not completely light fast, and you do need to put a UV varnish over it or spray. Yeah, it was really beautiful.
That's what I was going to ask you. Do you use like varnish on all of your paintings?
Not on all of them. I did a dog that had to be black, and it ended up having some bloom on it on some of the darker areas. So I did spray it.
Because that spray evens out the color underneath,
Yeah,
or why?
Well, it evens out the bloom, and I do a satin. I don't do a gloss. It's really, what you like, but I kind of like satin because my paintings drive more of a satin, so I try to keep that look going.
And do you spray it or brush it?
I spray it. In order to brush it, it's got to dry longer. And, when I do a painting, I usually leave it 2 weeks, spray it, and then leave it a few days, and then ship it. So if you've got lots of time, then you can, just put it on by hand. If you don't have time, it's better to do a spray, although I hate that for the environment. It does kind of drive me a little kooky.
And what brand do you use?
I have it right here. It's a little hard to find sometimes. Opus doesn't offer spray, which is good because it's hard on the environment. This is a Winsor & Newton satin varnish, and it's got to say UV, protects oil and acrylics, removable, and it has UV protection on it. Some of them don't have that on it. You need to actually look to see if it's UV or not.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and we do sell that. We do sell that particular. We just don't have our own brand.
Oh, do you really? Because
Yeah.
oh, the Opus in Kelowna, it doesn't carry it.
Oh.
Or they told me they didn't.
Yeah, we have the Winsor Newton spray varnish though.
Oh, okay.
I have seen it there.
Great, because I go to another store to get it because they told me they didn't have it.
Yeah, that might be a mail order situation sometimes too, because Thunderbird has it at the warehouse.
Okay.
You might be able to get it direct if you can't get it straight to Kelowna.
So you're working at Opus, Jen?
Yeah,
Yeah, oh, okay.
it's good fun.
Ah, you got access to all those great things.
Yeah, definitely. It's been fun for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, I just added a little bit orange in the back to make that an orange pink. And what are we at? 10:15. Um, are you good with this? I can just show some dry brushing. You know, it's just a process of putting here, there.
Are you gonna finish that later and post the stage 3?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Just
yeah.
putting a little bit of blue over here too.
So we're talking of wanting to do a little bit on flower one or something?
A little bit on, sorry?
As there was a flower picture or something?
Oh yeah, the flower picture. So I'm just going to talk quickly about your stage 3, and it will be really fun to do it here. But I think most of you can see it. I mean, there's a lot of orange here. There's some lighter green in here. There's some beautiful, gorgeous greens. So making your greens again. Um, just play with yellow with a different blue. If I can see there. So I'm just gonna just make up a few for you. This is Cobalt, gives you kind of a really nice mid-green. And then you go to ultramarine and you get beautiful dark forest green. So, you know, just play with your different blues. You'll just get warmer as you go to the right with your blues, and you can have a lot of fun mixing your greens. You can, I would suggest pre-mixing them just so that you don't keep making mud. Know what you're putting on now, because this is a little bit delicate where I've got this stage. I could turn it easily into a brown blob. But now I'm going to very lightly kind of go over it with, you know, different greens, break it up into probably 4 different masses in stage 3 and go. And then, you know, you'll be able to see variations on the blue, and you'll tie it together by, you know, just playing a little bit with your blues. So this is a really awesome one to get to know your blues really, really well. Just going to, oh, and those of you that are working on an easel with a small canvas, what I've done is put this board down so that it doesn't rock on my easel, because I have a huge easel, and it just makes it easier for these little tiny canvases. So I just got to put it where the cat won't stand on it.
Hey Diane, I have a question.
Yes.
So I'm working on just the buzz panels right now that I've put an extra layer of gesso on.
Yeah.
But on my stand-up easel that I was working on in the first class, these little 11 by 14 tiny little thin panels, they sit really far back in my easel, and so it was covering some area. And so I put a just an 8 by 10, just one of my blank canvases in behind it to kind of bump it forward. But I got a little bit of oil, I think, bled over from the painting like onto that canvas, and that Buzz one, or sorry, the not Buzz, but the panel that I'm working on, I already put an extra layer of gesso, but the one that was in behind was just like off the shelf, couple layers of gesso from the store. Do you think that's gonna not be enough gesso? Like, I'm just thinking I can't use that for acrylic now, it's got oil on it, but I could still paint oil on it, but I don't know, does it have enough gesso like right from the store, or is it gonna kind of wreck?
Um, are you going to use it just for exercises or as
I
something
mean,
that you would professionally?
probably just exercises, to be honest, so it'll probably be fine,
I
yeah?
think you'll be fine. And
Okay.
what I have also come across, I'll just show you what happened with the painting I did. For those of you that, there we go. So this was this was a painting. When I first moved in, I painted our pond and it was really awful. I scraped off as much as I could, and then I just put titanium white on it. So just for those of you that wreck things, and normally what I do is I go to Swinton's once a year, and all the canvases I hate, they rip off the canvas and they re-stretch for me new canvas, and it's cheaper than buying, because these are really nice. These are nice 1.5 inches, so that's something else you can do with it. All your old ones you hate, take them and just get them re-stretched,
Good idea.
and then you don't feel so bad having them. Like you've given them all away to your friends and your relatives, and they don't want any more of them. So
Oh,
this is kind of in prep for my blossom course. These are hydrangeas, and this is a 20 by 20 canvas. And what I did is it just got so gooey and wet, so I just left it for 2 weeks. And now I just want to go in with some yummy colors, and I wanted to, I just want you to see me mix here. So I've just got my opera pink. I use a lot of opera pink on this, and I'm just.
Oh, is this the type of thing we're doing in the Blossom class, Diane?
Yes. Yeah, you're going to do little sections. So look how I'm influencing this. I can just go in and opera pink. There we go. Just put this little thin layer on. I am using my little short brush, but you can really use any brush. It sort of depends on the paint, how much paint you put on it. See, I'm just trying to find an area I want to work on. Okay, I'm going to lighten this, so I'm using a light pink. So I'm just going in along the edge, lightening it, and I'm also softening. I can put light into it just by dry brushing. I can put little pieces in of light just coming in there. If I have something that is too dark in here and I want to do something with it, I'm just going to do a darker green. I've got a darker green on here. So I've got the color on. I put the color on. Now I'm just going to just wipe a little bit of it off, as you can see. And then I'm just really lightly just going to go in there. You're not going to be able to see that. Oh, my skylight's going crazy right now because it's such beautiful sun out there. So there's a little layer of green, and then I might go in with a little layer of magenta. And it's just so light. And then I might say, oh, it's a little darker. Just go in with a little layer of my purple. So where it works really well is lines. Let me find a really good line too. I think probably this one in this corner down in here. Let me do something with that. So it's actually in real life, or in the photograph, it's a little pinker. So I'm just going to grab, maybe I'll grab a little bit of magenta. And I'm just going to go in, and it's almost like I'm making a bridge from this line to this dark color, and I call it bridges, is because we've got too much contrast between the purple and the light pink. So I'm going in with a color that has a value that's in between, and you know, starts to, and then I can bring it up a little further and blend it. I can also go up into here and soften some of these.
Okay, I've got a question for you, backed up to the, that real dark area that you just did, further up, behind that flower petal. Yeah. You actually used 3 different colors in there, correct?
Yeah,
To get where you want it. You put a green and then a magenta and something else, I think.
yeah,
Now,
and I put purple back in.
yeah, with the using acrylics, am I going to have to wait?
No, no, because it's dry. It's dry. It does work with acrylic. So you know, put your brush into the paint, and like I've been wiping a
Yeah,
lot of paint off.
right.
It's like you have a little tiny bit on there, and you go in almost like a butterfly, just
Yeah.
light, 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 light. I'm going to put a little bit of Indian yellow in there. Okay, so this is too much Indian yellow on my brush. I am wasting paint by taking it off. So here's my Indian yellow. I'm taking it off. It's a little bit too much. And I know that Indian yellow is quite strong. So here it is on my brush, not much on there. And now I'm going to just go in.
Mhm.
And you have to have a sensitivity, which, I'm sure all of you do with your brushes. Just have a sensitivity. So that warmed it up. That kind of warmed up that little spot a little bit. And
And so you don't get muddy when you're just doing the dry brush really easy. Yeah.
yeah, and I've been using it. I'll just take my camera over to my horses. I've been using the dry brush for the last week with my horses. I've been using it kind of on their tails and their backs. What is, oops, I think that was a dry paint, so I think I'm okay. So this one in particular still needs a little bit of work. And, so what I'll probably do is just kind of go in and around. You guys can see, maybe with some pinks or magentas as a bridge, and smooth these little, because if you look really closely, they're pretty chunky. I want to keep some of the chunkiness, but I also want to play and smooth some of the edges, and then going into the tail, here
I like that one has a heart on his bum.
yeah, and going into the tail, I can make little soft nuances. I've just got Indian yellow on this, so I'm just going into the tail a little bit with the Indian yellow, and some of it's a little sticky because I was working on it. And what it does is it just softens. So I did quite a bit on the muzzle in through here with dry brushing, just all through there. This one is a little chunky right in here, so I will go in with colors that are close, maybe some blues, maybe magenta, soften this, soften, a few pieces in here, and I did quite a bit of dry brush on this one, this guy back here. So you can see pinks and oranges, Indian yellows, and I've just been going in really lightly and just kind of almost like blending the colors, but leaving some of my brush strokes. So we have 2 minutes left. So questions? It's not rocket science, dry brushing. It's actually, just try it and just wipe enough paint off. You'll know if you have too much paint because it will go all over. And like Jen said, be really mindful. Are you using Indian yellow, which is transparent, or are you using orange, which is way more opaque? And if you are, wipe more off if you're using something opaque. Make sure you know what your color is before you go in. Have a good look at it, push it around on your palette and then go in. When you wipe it off on your paper towel, you'll know. It will tell you quite a bit.
Yeah.
So you want to use more of an opaque, more of a transparent color when you're dry brushing?
Not necessarily, because there's some really dark purple lines that I need to go right in beside, and I just really need to soften them. Like putting orange onto purple works really well because, wow, it just really, really softens it.
Yeah, it sort of depends what you're after, right? Like if you're
Yeah.
after a minor adjustment to transparent would be awesome. And if you're after like a big, like, oh, we got to change that, then
Yeah.
maybe a bit at a time.
So like delicate,
Yeah.
beautiful, light key flowers, you'd be really careful. A black horse or a dark horse that's got all kinds of stuff on it, really just go in there and go for it. So I had just a few little things I just wanted to say just before we end. You can paint while I'm talking. Again, I just want to reiterate that your painting can be completed at any of the stages. Wherever it pleases you, stop. You're the one that you're pleasing. Just stop. Don't do it for me because I'm your teacher. Do it because, wow, I love my stage 2. I don't need to go any further. We're really interested in capturing the color relationships rather than showing 3D. And Henry Henchy talks a lot about don't paint a bowl, paint little bits of color connected to each other that will create your bowl. So think of it more as pieces of color coming together as opposed to, oh, I'm going to paint a bowl today, I'm going to paint a horse today, whatever. So when I was painting all the horses' bums and all their legs the last week, I was just thinking, oh, look at this little color that curves over here on their hock, and I was going, yeah, I had 20 legs to do, and all I did was just paint little pieces of color and then stand back and go, oh, wow, is that ever cool? So think of it more that way. Don't get so much into, oh, I have to paint a goat or I have to paint this and it has to look right or my white bowl is wonky. No. Look at the colors you guys have put. Your bowls were fabulous. So going forward, look for shadows. Shadows will really teach you about color. Look for shadows throughout your day, like in the sink, on the road, by your desk, when you have the lamp on, and think about what color would I paint that. It's really cool when you go out in snow and you go, oh, look up in the sky. Oh, ultramarine is reflecting on the snow. It's a beautiful, cool blue. Oh, now I see cerulean. Snow is amazing. It's like painting white bowls. It's really, really fun. Practice stage 1 and 2 often. Don't worry about finishing. You don't have to finish everything. It might be in your nature to be a finisher, but remember these are color studies and you're doing them on really inexpensive little canvases, and they're your journey. It's like having a journal. This is your journal of your journey. They're really cool little studies. The beginner full color painter may paint everything brighter than it is. The bright colors are easier to see and to paint. They are obvious. There are about 20 bright colors and thousands of dull colors. As you advance, it's the dull colors that are going to make you very excited about painting. You can't buy them in a tube. Those are your colors that you have made with your energy and your color scene, and they are the most exciting parts. Define what you want to do. What do you want to do? Do you want to paint horses? Do you want to paint all your animals on your ranch, on your farm? Do you want to just keep exploring color? Just figure out what you want to do. What is your why? What is your why going forward? What is it? And try to commit to it, and then you will get there. It's pretty exciting when you get there. So Robert Henry, The Art Spirit by Robert Henry, a very, very old book with beautiful wisdom in it. Jen's nodding. It is one of the most dear books.
How do you spell his last name?
It looks like Henry.
Okay.
French only, yeah, I guess.
One of the most wonderful quotes, and actually Rick Rubin stole his quote for the beginning of his book. It's, "The object isn't to make art. It is to be in that wonderful stage that makes art inevitable." So I'll say that again. The object isn't to make art. It's to be in that wonderful stage which makes art inevitable. So I'm happy to coach you going forward if any of you want to continue with this way of color seeing. I can work privately with you. I have a blossom course coming, and then I have a horse course coming, and then the first Saturday in April I have an opus demo. I'm just talking about blossoms and tips. And then I'm not sure if I'm going to do another color foundation or I'm open. It sort of depends on, 4 to 6 students make a class for me. But I would love some parting words from each of you. Darlene, before we end.
Well, and I hope you add the bears to your itinerary there for classes.
The bears. Right.
Don't forget the bears. But yes, I've enjoyed it immensely. It just makes me remember a lot of things that I have forgot as I've gone along, and how important color is and how to look at color. And again, you're such a wonderful teacher, Diane. You make it look easy, and your teaching helps it make us find it a little easier too. So I do appreciate all of it.
Thank you so much. I have to say, since I've started, it all started with getting Susan Sarback's second book. I have her original one, and going through it and wanting to paint still life again, and not wanting to paint it by myself. So I offered a course, and the camaraderie and we go back and forth. What color has expanded me also, and I am painting more bold, putting colors down in a different way. So thank you, because you have definitely affected me too, and my enthusiasm for getting to the easel every single day. It's awesome.
And if I might just add, it was great meeting everybody and getting to know everyone. It was just fantastic and bouncing the ideas off. Thank you, Jen. You'll probably hear more from me, Jen.
Sounds good.
But yeah, no, I enjoyed everything immensely. It's just fantastic.
Thank you, Darlene. It's awesome. Barb.
Well, in on this, I've learned a lot, but a lot is still a mystery to me, but I'm sure I will uncover it as I go along. And I took a lot of screenshots of what you did. Very, as always, Diane, you are very inspiring, and all your like reading off a lot of the quotes from the book put things in perspective as well. Because in today's society, the way I'm very like goal oriented. Okay, you must do this from start to finish and da da da. And then, but you're saying you're allowed to do stop in between, and that you're doing this for yourself and to allow yourself to appreciate what you have and what you've created and learned. So thank you for that. And also, I find everybody involved with this, they see the colors a little bit different, which is really interesting as well. And so everybody's input as a group has been very
Awesome, Barb. That's great. Thank you. Beautiful summary. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Linda.
Well, I can't believe how fast 3 weeks just went by.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to continue taking your Blossom course and then your horse course. And then your bear course, because
Yep.
it's only going to help me retain what I just learned. Right. And so I love the whole process. It's so different than anything I've ever tried. And like you said, Barb, listening to everybody's feedback and the different choices that are selected was really amazing. And it really has helped me see color like it really has. Because last night you're like, look again, Linda, take another look and see, take another minute and see what you see. And that really helped me to slow down and to actually look, because I like to rush through things, in a sense, things like this. But I'm really learning a lot, and you're teaching. I mean, you're so inspiring and you're so encouraging, and you give really good lessons. And I'm really honored and pleased to be able to be a student. And I hope that as a group we can continue and be in more classes together. I've really enjoyed learning from all of you. And Jen, today your talk on acrylics is great, because I have a boatload of acrylics and enough things to fill a store with that I've never used because it's too overwhelming, So maybe I'll actually take some acrylics out and try. So
Yeah.
thank you for that. And yeah.
Awesome.
Darlene,
Linda.
I know you and I are going to continue on, and hopefully others are going to sign up for the courses too. So thank you, everybody, and thank you especially Diane, and I look forward to your next courses.
Well, thank you, Linda. I think my biggest thing as a teacher is I just want you to keep painting in any way that you can, any way that pleases you, because it fills you up in a way that nothing else fills you up with. Horses are pretty amazing, but this is something you can do when your body is damaged, when you can't walk, when you feel sick, when you can't do anything else. You don't have mobility or whatever. You can sit and you can paint and you can fill yourself up and you can feel so fantastic that you didn't feel half an hour before. So thank you, Linda, that you're going to continue. It's going to be so much fun, you and Darlene and everybody else. And
Jen,
Jen's coming.
I'm coming along for the ride.
Yay! And Jen, do you have some
Yay.
parting wisdom
Oh gosh.
or things? Or...
I'm super grateful that Pamela suggested that I reach out, because I remember watching your first demo as part of staff training and just going like, oh yeah, this is cool, but oils, I don't know, like because oils again seemed really overwhelming. And then, but I'm like, I literally saw you go like, okay, no medium, we just here's the paint, there's the canvas. And I was like,
that appeals to me
not that
too.
complicated. And so of course, like I was a horse girl growing up, as a young girl, 11 to 13 kind of age. And I would love to paint horses again. It's been ages, but yeah, well, I never actually painted them. I painted them in watercolor probably as a 12-year-old, but I can dig those out somewhere and show you.
Wow.
But no, I'm super grateful to have found you, because I feel like your approach and your subject matter and your like you're definitely like my speed for teaching, and so like communication style and everything. It's just I'm super, super happy to have found my teacher, I guess.
Oh, wow.
So,
Thank you. Thank you so much. Super honored and excited to go forward with all of you. And I know, Barb, we've done privates, and those have been really fast and furious and fun. And yeah, thank you so much, everyone. It's just a real gift to paint with you. It's awesome. Yeah, thank you. All right. I don't know what else to say. I'm kind of overwhelmed.
Thank you very much, Diane.
Yep, and thank you. And we'll be doing more.
And
We will
Okay.
see you soon, and
We'll
also we'll
see
see you on the email in the meantime.
Yep, we'll
Okay.
see you soon.
Okay,
Thank you,
so that-
everybody.
See you guys.